All right, guys. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Today we've got Shaked, global TA over at groundcover, who's been working with one of the fastest growing startups in the observability space. So, really excited to have a chat with her today, understand what she's doing, her background, what's working, and any little nuggets. I'd first like to introduce Danny, our sponsor from Juicebox. We're going to give Danny the floor for a couple of minutes, just so you can all learn about it, and then we're going to do introductions and crack on.
Yeah, thanks, John. Hey guys. My name is Danny. I'm an account executive here at Juicebox. We're actually the sponsor for this forum today. Not sure if everyone has heard of Juicebox, but we're an AI recruiting platform. Only been around 3 years, but have really taken off with over 5,000 customers in the recruiting space, based here in San Francisco. Soon to have a second office actually in London this summer. So quickly expanding. And I know we had a few minutes to kind of go through a really quick demo. But if you're interested in learning a little bit more than the 3 minutes, I'll probably show you guys about like your roles, seeing actual one-on-one time with somebody here. You can grab time with our team at juicebox.ai/demo. Cool. Let me go and share my screen and we'll dive right into it. So Juicebox, we can just kind of write in what we are looking for in plain language. So how we actually do this, we combine over 30 different data sources, whether it be LinkedIn, GitHub, Stack Overflow, all into one large language model, essentially making that search process for you as the end recruiter way more efficient, way more effective. So we're going to just write as an example here, like maybe software engineers, maybe we want them in London, 3+ years of experience. And maybe we want like Python experience as well. We're going to write that in. In Juicebox, we have two different things. We have filters and then we have criteria. Filters is what really defines how big that talent pool is going to be. It's going to be like the hard requirements. And then we have criteria as well. We have a couple cool different filters. Won't bore you guys with all of them, but some of them that people like are things like our minimum average tenure to avoid job hoppiness. A lot of people put 2 years on average. We can also specify filters around like gender diversity, race, D1 athletes, military veterans. We can also filter based off their data in GitHub, like how many followers they might have, what repositories that they contributed to, as well as things like universities. We're going to save the changes there. Now we'll deal with criteria. Criteria work a little bit differently. In my opinion, is like the cooler part of the platform and what really like separates us from what else is out there. So the way to think about this one, second layer to the search. So based off what we enter here, it's not going to add or remove any people, but it is going to rank match them, essentially doing most of the sourcing work for your recruiters, cutting a lot of like looking at the profiles and cutting straight to potentially reaching out to quality candidates a whole lot faster. Our AI naturally starts suggesting ones based off what it thinks you're interested in. And we can definitely add more. Maybe we'll go to an add like startup experience, or maybe even more specifically, high growth startup experience. We're going to update it and run the search. We'll get some of the top results here. We have 10,000 already. I always recommend going straight to what we call our table view. It's going to allow you to evaluate 500 people at a time, really allowing you to expedite your sourcing. A green thumbs up means that they're going to be a fit, yellow, potential fit, red, they're not a match for that criteria. And just in the first batch of 500, we have 68 that are essentially perfect, that we can actually open them up to see why. So like Alan here, for high growth startup experience that sequence and found a role effective, lab demonstrate a high growth startup exposure. And this one here for extensive Python implementation experience. It looks like he has extensive Python and Django experience. Numerous Python repos and production system work indicate strong practical depth. And that's like the whole idea there is like we're leveraging the platform to infer that data for us based off things that might have not necessarily been stated on Alan's profile, but as inferred by the platform, basically doing a lot of the work the recruiter would end up doing, kind of reading between the lines. Um, Couple other pieces of data here is like if we want to go into Alan, we provide contact data, things like emails, phone numbers, and professional emails. We have a link to his LinkedIn, GitHub, Stack Overflow, well found, whatever this one is about me, and as well as his Twitter. And then finally, we provide company-wide data from Crunchbase. So if say we had never heard of any of these company here's like sequence here, we can load it up, see things like headcount growth with Alan's tenure overlaid on that, promotions, where people come from and leave to after that company. all interactive as well. And then the final piece here is we can also choose to reach out to these candidates all within the platform. We have what we call our sequences, which are primarily a cadence of scheduled out emails up to 20 steps like a drip campaign. Ideally, create one from scratch. You can also generate one with an AI, but we'll look at this template here. This one's 4 steps, an email to go out immediately, another one 2 business days after the last one. But we can also change this to be like a reminder to send that LinkedIn message, connection request, or phone call just so you can make sure to cover 3 different channels of outreach with Juicebox. The emailing through us, the phone numbers we provide, as well as like these reminders to send that LinkedIn message. And then obviously we provide analytics on how those are going so you can repeat successes and A/B test sequences. And for a lot of our customers, they like to the value of like not only having a superior sourcing platform, but also the ability to reach out to the candidates all in one platform. But yeah, that's the super high level overview of Juicebox. Um,
Thanks, Danny.
yeah.
I think, as Helen mentioned as well, was kind of more of a detailed overview of the product happening in May. So we'll make sure everybody in the community's got an invitation to that. But thank you very much for the product. Right, guys, let's get stuck straight into today. So, Shaked is our guest. I'm going to fire a couple of quick icebreaker questions at you. So, what's one question you always secretly love asking in the interview?
What I secretly love asking in an interview. Okay, that's a great question. So I mix it up a little bit, but one questions that I really like to ask is this question that really makes the candidate think. So the question is, when you're in a friend group, what role do you play in that friend group? And then I like to see what they think about themselves. So, if it's the the friend role that takes a role of like the recommendation person, the one that's really good at ordering food or knowing the best movies or different shows. So I feel like that's always one of the really good HR questions to ask these candidates, just to understand a little bit more of like what they think of themselves, right? Yeah.
I like it. I like it. I wonder how honest people are with you when they say, I'm the person who says, let's go for a beer, and it ends up being 10. Nice. Okay. Look, two quick ones. What's one tool you couldn't live without at work?
At work, so I've recently started really using Notion a little bit better. Until I really understood what it can bring. In the beginning, I thought it was like you can live without it. And today, when we're becoming, a more fast-paced, structured company, I feel like if you use it correctly, you can't live without it. Obviously, I'm not going to say ChatGPT. That's boring. Everyone knows that we can't live without him. But Notion, I feel like, or Notion, or any type of project management tool for a recruiter that's a founding recruiter or a single go-to-market recruiter, it helps you structure your day, your progress, everything. So I feel like I can't live without it.
Nice. I like it. And finally, great go-to-market recruiters are always doing, finish the sentence.
Again, sorry.
So, like, sorry, finish the sentence. So, great go-to-market recruiters are always
Selling the product.
nice. I like it. Okay, fantastic. Well, let's do a proper introduction then. So, like, over to you. Give us a whistle-stop tour of yourself, your career journey, and how you ended up being a founding recruiter.
Yeah, definitely. So, hi everybody, I'm Shaked. So I'll start from the beginning. When I was a little girl, my dream was to become a vet. And when started going to school for it, I did a bachelor's in marine biology. So it would be a bachelor's to a master's in veterinary school. And then halfway along the journey, I worked in a vet's office as well. I decided it really wasn't for me. So I randomly am in recruiting. This wasn't a career goal for me ever when I was a kid. It wasn't a dream of mine. Totally random that I am a recruiter today. When I finished my bachelor's, started setting my resumes literally everywhere. So I had a bachelor's in marine biology. I was either looking into being something in biology or looking into anything. This was around 2020 when the tech industry was going insane and everyone was like, if you want to make money, go into tech. So again, sent my resumes everywhere. And this company reached out to me, Quality Test. They were like, do you want to come? We're looking for a talent acquisition. At that time, I had no idea what that meant. What is talent acquisition? What do I do? I was like, all right, let's try it out. And that's how I got into recruiting. I fell in love with it. Was at that company for about 3 years, did a little side of the business as well, was account manager for 6 months. So I understood both sides of the business. And it was somewhat of a recruitment agency. So I really learned how to become partners in the future. Did a short stay at Monday, realized that the corporate world was not for me. It was a huge company, really wanted to make an impact. And then that's how I found groundcover. So I was scrolling LinkedIn just one day looking for candidates, and this position popped up. And I was like, okay, this sounds incredible. Let's send over my CV. And that's how I joined groundcover. It was just, I'm gonna take a leap of faith. When I went into the office, I was gonna withdraw my application because it was on site 5 days a week, an hour commute. And when I walked into the office, I could really feel the energy at groundcover. I was like, okay, I don't care that this is going to take me 3 hours to get to work every day or get to work and get back to work. This is where I have to work. And one of the best decisions I think I've ever made. And that's how I started as a founding recruiter at groundcover. So totally random.
Nice.
Yeah. And I love it. Yeah.
Let us know about the success at groundcover quickly. Like I know you joined them really early on. You guys are growing super fast from headcount, ARR. Like what's the growth look like since you've joined?
Yeah, so when I joined, basically the recruitment process was only agencies working directly with the hiring managers, no processes in place. I was employee number 40 when 80% were engineers building the product, and the sales team was really, really small at the time. They were about five. So grew the company from 40 to today we're 110. Guys, that's crazy.
Nice.
I know. So through that time, we built processes, built the brand as well, of why you want to join ground cover. And just, obviously I let the engineers succeed with building the product, let go to market team succeed in selling the product. And I just kept on bringing top talent. And the successes that we were able to bring for such a small startup and such a, we don't really have that brand, and we're competing with huge companies that have 15 years in the market, these legacy players, but we're able to attract top talent from top companies. And I think that is where we're amazing. Because if you see the roster of who we're hiring, you want to be part of this team. And I think the success at groundcover is that we're not just those employees that come to work. We all come to work with the knowledge that this company is going to succeed. This startup is going to be huge, and everyone believes in it. And I feel like that's one thing that really gets the ball rolling. And so, yeah.
I love it. I love it. I saw you guys first over at AWS reInvent and loved like the beach style theme exposition stand. So really a company that's standing out, doing things slightly different. So focusing on your role, we've moved to an early stage vendor, completely different task. Like give us the good, the bad, and the ugly. What could you come in and work really well on? What were you like, oh my God, like, oh, this is really, really hard. And what is something maybe that you're banging your head against the wall with?
Ooh, is this on my side?
Hey, you're back with us now, don't worry.
Yeah. Hi. Sorry. Was that me?
Yeah, don't worry.
New York for you. Internet unstable as well.
I got you. Did you hear the question? Do you want me to repeat?
It was the good, the bad, and the ugly. And what else?
That's the one. You got it.
Okay. So I'll start with the good, because we're all optimistic here. I think the good is that you can really see an impact that you're making, right? And that's really what drives your motivation. So that's one thing that is great in being such a small startup. You know every single person that you're hiring, and you're making that immediate impact. The bad, maybe this falls under ugly, but things can get messy. You have to understand that if you take half of the day off and don't finish what you need to get done, no one else is going to do it. And if things fall beneath the cracks or in between the cracks, that's on you. If we lose a candidate because you weren't on top of things, because you wanted to take half the day off, that's on you. And that can sometimes be really, really bad because it puts a lot of stress into having a career and having a personal life. So you really have to understand how to find the balance between I need to get everything done, but I don't want to work until 11, 10, 12 at night, but I don't want things to fall in between the cracks. And I would put that between the good and the ugly. And another thing is that can get a little bit ugly is that knowing that not as a founder recruiter, you have to know how to be flexible and understand that this isn't a cookie cut recruiter position. Things change and you really have to understand how to roll with the punches. And sometimes it can get a little bit ugly to where the hiring manager, he wants to do the reference checks right now, but you always want to do them. You have to roll with it and be like, okay, put my ego aside. I understand that it's good for the role. It's good for the business. I'm here to support you.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it. What do you think or what do you think people in general underestimate about being a founding recruiter?
The amount of work that we have. It's not just building pipelines. It's not just phone interviews. It's not just creating. It's a lot more than that. Being a founding recruiter, it's really tempting to join a company and just hit the ground running. All right, let's open this position. Let's source. Let's call. Let's get on a phone interview. Let's get this agency on it. But then you forget to build the fundamentals that you need for the future. So when people think of founding recruiter, they think of I'm always on the phone, right? Like a salesperson, like I'm cold calling candidates all day. But that's only half of my day. I'm building a process that will create and be sustainable for when we're 200, 300, 400 employees, because I can't be the one to always source, to always create the pipeline, to always tell the hiring managers what I need. I need them to also be independent as well. And that's one thing that's really underestimating. It's so easy to join a role as a founding recruiter and just to go straight into hiring. Stop for a second. Build your base. Build your base. Build what you want. Create a plan, right? When I joined groundcover, I stopped and said, okay, when we are 60 employees, when we were 40, when we're 60, how do I want hiring plans to look? When we're 80, how do I want the hiring to look? When we're 100, how do I want the hiring plan to look? How do I want to feed these pipelines? I didn't just run straight into recruiting. I didn't run straight into phone interviews. I didn't run straight into building pipelines. I stopped. I built myself a base. Does that make sense?
Nice. Got like the vision, the strategy, and the implementation. Okay, so
Yes.
I like it. You mentioned a couple of things earlier on. So the challenges, rolling with the punches, the kind of like who does what. Let's dig into hiring manager alignment at startup. So first question that comes to mind is like hiring managers come into the business, maybe they're experienced, maybe they're not. How do you get alignment early on with managers?
Sorry, it went out again.
Oh, don't worry. I'll just
Early
yeah,
on with
just to
management.
quickly. Yeah. Early on in terms of hiring manager alignment.
Re-kick off with everything. So when I joined, everything was already open, right? All the positions, they were streamlining processes, they were streamlining different hiring. I stopped and realigned with every single hiring manager. I stopped and said, all right, let's re-kick off. I want to know you. I want to know what you need for this position. And I put a lot of personal aspect with my relationships with hiring managers. So I'll send them a Slack every single day, just be like, hey, how are you? Good. Do you need anything from me? Okay, perfect. This is what's going on with the pipeline. How's your day? Or if there's anything. So I put a lot of the HR aspects, I would say, into the role and just say, hey, just create a also personal relationship. And you also want to create this space to where they can't do anything without you and they need you in the process, right? And I've created this amazing relationship with, our management team that even though they know they want to hire this candidate, they still come at me and say, okay, what do you think? What did you think? Was this a good person? Was this a good candidate What did you think about them? And align to both interviews. And I think that's really, really important. And part of that is a lot of personal relationships.
Yeah.
To really get to know them also on a personal basis, to get to know what ticks their buttons, right? And you can't do that without sending a Slack every morning and be like, hey, how are you? My VP sales, I text him every single day. I'm like, hey, Paul, how are you? Good? Do you need me? No? All right, great. Tell me a personal thing about
Nice.
yourself. Yeah, every day.
I like it.
Every single day.
I like it. I like it. Personal relationships super important, particularly in the startup. It's all sort of goes into the DNA of the culture, right? But I know it won't always be so smooth sailing. So let's talk about, and I'm sure this happens in startups, maybe friction points or like where people have got maybe unrealistic expectations. How are you, as the internal TA, who ultimately is bringing in everybody in the business, work with hiring managers on expectations or maybe just we'll call it blockers?
Yeah. Are you talking about expectations about like different profiles or
Yeah, could be anything from the profile to budget to, what they want in terms of get me a startup 3 times over AE who 100% pipelines and closes 200% a year. What have you had instances of unrealistic expectations?
Oh, yes, definitely. So you're always going to have unrealistic expectations. Your hiring managers always want top talent. Sometimes don't always want to pay top budget because, it's a startup environment and we have to understand what's realistic. That is your place to really connect to the business. So, being a go to market founding recruiter, go to market recruiter would say, you have to be part of the business and understand every single role, not what they do in their day to day, but how they impact the business, right? So, if we take an account executive, for example, if we take 2, 3, 4 months to hire this account executive, that is a quarter and a half to where we're not bringing in revenue. And if you start thinking like that, you can change the hiring manager's mind and say, what do you need? You need someone to bring in revenue yesterday, right? What if they're not out of observability? Let's try and think. Let's A B test. Let's take this one head count, split it into two, not hire directly from observability, hire really good two AEs that come from SaaS companies, fine, or infrastructure companies, and from there understand if this is how we want to sustain a pipeline. Hiring managers will always go directly into hiring from their space, but that's not always the right thing. And that's where you come in and say, look, here's the data. We have 10 account executives coming from our space in Boston. They're from 1 year to 6 years of experience. We've spoken to 3 out of 6. Not all of them are great. Here's another pipeline that we didn't look at. Take a
Mm,
first call. Think of what you want. Always emphasize what you're bringing with data. For example, when I'm speaking to outside agencies that I'm working with to create roles and they're coming at me and saying, I didn't find anyone, or they're over budget. And I go back and say, okay, show me the data. What is their salary that they want? What is over budget? How many people are over budget? And they never send anything, because it's all excuses. But when I come to
mm,
my hiring managers and I do this research on my own and say, look, I spoke to this person, he's great, he's over budget. I spoke to this person, he's great, he doesn't really have the experience. And I spoke to this person, he's spot on. You have 3 candidates, choose, interview all three, and we get a
nice.
pay out of that.
I like it. I like it. I think data is the big point there, right? Friction, idea, data, hopefully resolved. Let's talk a little bit about processes. So Tyler actually kind of asked the question I was on the lines of. So what are some of the specific processes you've implemented recently that's helped you scale to the 100 people mark?
Yeah, that's a great question. So every single hiring manager wants to open a position yesterday, and then the process isn't streamlined correctly. It's a Slack. We're saying, hi, we want to open a partner marketing role. Open it on our ATS. Like, wait, hold on. We have to kick it off. We need salary benchmarks. We need this. We need that. We need a template. So what we created is the way we hire, right, template to where everything is there. If it's the job description, if it's the process, if it's salary bands, location, what we, if it's, requirements, must haves, advantage, or okay to have. while we have that and a hiring manager wants to create a headcount, they will request the way we hire form. They will put all of their forms in. They will put a start date that they want to start this position and then send it over to us. And we will say, okay, we can start this next week. And that process really creates the messiness of everyone wants to hire at the same time, right? Because what ended up happening is that at the end of the year, we create the headcount for the year coming up, right? End of 2025, we build a headcount for 2026. And then everyone just wants to open their positions tomorrow. And then you have 30 positions available. We have to understand and say, look, we understand this position is important. This is the steps that you need to take for me to start working on this role. And that created some structure in how we open roles. In the past, it was just open it, just start working on it yesterday. So that's a process that we implemented. That's very great. Another process is I try to really give at the end of the week an overview on, people we interviewed, who is in the process, who's at advanced stages, and just to keep the hiring managers in the loop of, okay, you have this amount, this can close soon, this is just starting, and just to keep everyone connected. Let me try to think of another process that I have in place.
I like it. I particularly like the way we hire template. I think like having it documented, structure, new managers come in like, this is how we hire. Don't just go and open up a rec. I think that's like really, really strong. And then I guess something that never even occurred to me is like you're the founding recruiter, only recruiter, but the priority list. Obviously, everyone's got their own priorities, but what's the business priority? And I guess you've got that oversight of the different functions to be able to say, I need a solutions engineer, I need a account exec in San Fran, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, let's kind of keep on the lines of talent. So we've talked about like the process you created to get to 100 people. What about going a little bit more linear and saying like did you define your ideal go-to-market candidate? I think the great example you've got here is like I met Garrett, I bumped into him, and like he's fantastic sales manager, super driven, didn't come from the observability space, but it's obviously been a blast for you guys. So like just give us some insight into the whole journey of hiring Garrett outside of the ICP, what you were looking for versus what you ended up with.
Yeah. So when we opened the regional director role in Boston, obviously the go-to was to look at competitors, if it's, Datadog, Dynatrace, CoreLogix, all those fun companies. Sorry, is there a question?
I don't see any of your notes on your pad of the show.
I think someone's maybe not on mute. I'm going to guess.
I read that.
Oh, this is really awkward. How do you do it?
I
think we're all on mute now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you good.
No, I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't a question. And when we started interviewing, we understood that we need, specifically for the regional director role, I understood that we need a good manager. Also, a good salesperson is great, but I need someone to manage this team really, really well. And that doesn't necessarily come from the observability world. Not that it's not great, not that there aren't great managers there. There are really great managers everywhere. And I got Garrett's CV and I just looked at it and I really, really liked his career trajectory, the way he was moving forward in his career, his background, his military background as well. And I took the leap of faith of saying, okay, maybe this is going to be a waste of my time. Maybe this will work. So I took a 30-minute call with him. Immediately fell in love. I was like, okay, this is our person. This is definitely who we need. And told Paul ahead of time. I was like, look, he's not coming out of observability, but this is our guy. And just showed confidence in our conversation and my knowledge in who we need. And he knocked 3 candidates out of the park in observability. Like it was a no-brainer along the lines of we need this guy, sorry. He has to join our team. And it was just thanks to my input, right? Thanks to my input and looking in the market and understanding that we need a really strong manager here. And we can teach him observability. And that is just understanding what is most important in the position that you're hiring.
I like it. I think like one of the best talents we can have in recruitment is just understanding like that instant fit. Like you speak to someone, you're like, this is the person for the job. Like you just get that kind of recruiter gut feeling. Um, so I really appreciate you diving into that. Let's talk about the competition for talent because I don't know how you guys feel, but obviously we're an outside recruitment agency. It's quite fierce at the moment. I think candidates are getting the luxury of having quite a few people reach out to them, quite a lot of options. So when we talk about competing for talent, give us an overview on your stance of maybe, I don't know, tactics that you're going out to market with, messages, or like where the strengths lie at ground cover for recruiting these, because you've set a really high bar of talent there.
Yeah, we have. It's sometimes too high for my own good. Yeah, no, that's a great question. So it splits into two, right? We have the first is keeping the talent in the process when they do join, and that's speed and efficiency. Sometimes talent acquisition or recruiters want to have that first call and be like, they have to go through me. They have to talk to me. This is part of the process. Flexibility here is something that's really important. When you're looking at top talent, sometimes the first call needs to be a sales call. And that sales call might need to come from someone with a bigger title. And that's okay. It's not saying anything bad about yourself. It's just to know that that's going to hook this candidate in. And I think that's the transition from being a junior recruiter to a senior recruiter to really understanding the difference in, okay, I want this candidate to first meet Paul. He's going to sell them on this opportunity. And then afterwards, I can do a culture fit and a culture test. And that is one thing. Speed is very important. When you have a candidate that you want to finish the process in under 2 weeks
It's
because
your superpower.
that is our superpower and our ability because we don't have a really long interview process. We can hire somebody in a week if we have everybody on board. We can do it. And that is where the superpower comes in, especially in recruiting. And that's you can't delay anything. So and you have to be on top of it because when you're CEO, because at startups, most of the CEOs are the ones that are the last interview. He's not going to remember at the end of the interview to send over and say, okay, I like him. Let's keep going. You have to be on top of it. The second the interview ends, I either pick up the phone and call Shachar. I either Slack him 4 different messages and text him at the same time to be like, hey, what did you think? Yes, no. If it's a yes, we're hiring him by the end of the day. And that is super, super, super important. And that is where the recruiter comes in and says, I'm not waiting to get that feedback. I am demanding that feedback right away. And that's why all of my meetings, all of like the interviews are on my calendar. I know it makes it look terrible. And if anyone's on my calendar, anxiety like yesterday, but that's when I know this candidate is interviewing right now. This candidate interviewed 5 minutes ago. I always am on top of where my candidates are in the process because it's on my calendar.
I love it. Tyler kind of asked a similar question there. I think Tyler, I'm going to get you to present the next one of these. So do you think, like anything else there apart from speed and time is a differentiator? Or Tyler, I don't know if you want to dig into anything here quickly.
Yeah, because these are some pretty, these are good organizations, and the ability to scale so quickly is very interesting and impressive. Like, what's the differentiator? Like for ground cover, for the opportunity, like what's sort of your pitch?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in the observability world, there aren't that many startups our size, right? The train has left the station probably 10 years ago to join an early up and coming observability startup. So that is one of the also big sales point, of us saying, hey, if you want to join and not regret joining a small company that's going to be huge in 5 years, this is your time, especially when we're speaking to observability candidates, right, that are coming from the same role. Another thing is that really understanding that, when you have candidates that are in corporate big companies for a while, everything is super structured for them. They have to go through, if it's a promotion cycle, everything has to be in order and be like, hey, you want to come? There's so many opportunities here. If, for example, SDRs, right? We can bring in an SDR and say, you might be an AE in 6 months. You might be in a year. You might be in a year and a half. come in, do an amazing job, and we'll promote you. You don't have to wait for a promotion cycle. It can happen tomorrow. You just have to hit your quota, hit your titles. So that's also one of the really big sellers. And I always sell our management team. So I call our VP team, they are the like luxury brand of the industry. If it's observability, if it's data infrastructure, like for example, I call Paul the Louis Vuitton of observability. And I always sell him as an opportunity to work for Paul. I always talk about our management team working for Paul, or if it's in San Francisco, working with Chris, our VP marketing, who's incredible. You speak with her in 5 minutes and you learn so much. And that is a big opportunity for us. And also, our founding team is amazing. So, the people, the product, the opportunity. Those are the 3 things that always win, and the startup. Sorry. So 4 things that are always a selling point for these candidates. Does that answer?
I like
Yeah,
it.
I've
really
seen
like
I've seen the kind of your CEO's post too, and I think, and I'm kind of getting the kind of the value prop is, hey, you're less expensive, or I'm kind of curious what the value prop is too beyond maybe just some of his posts
For us as
for
a
ground
product,
cover. Yeah.
for ground cover as a product.
Mm-hmm.
So ground cover is taking that, SaaS solution that Datadog has, and it's splitting it to a BYOC model where we're sitting on the customer's cloud, right? So data isn't brought over to us. So engineer teams don't have to choose or be scared to use a monitoring tool because it's not going to cost them that much money. Like if, for example, if an engineer team is using Datadog and they forget to shut it off, they're going to pay a lot of money for data processes afterwards. We don't have that issue. We sit on the customer's cloud, right? And data isn't brought over to us. We only take what we need. So it's self-hosted.
Interesting.
Nice. We've got 5 minutes left, guys. So I just want to cover one last area with you, Shaked. And that's a lot around employer branding. So, like again, saw you guys at AWS, thought it was great branding, slightly different. I guess would love to understand, from yourself and internally working with the CEO and marketing, what kind of the vision is for branding in terms of sales, talent, and even like wider involvements.
Yeah, that's a great question. One, it's self-brand a lot. When it comes to employer branding, you want to really show that ground cover has that top talent that is out there, right? So if it's me doing webinars, I did some webinars in Tel Aviv as well, some across here. If it's our field CTO speaking at events as well, that are just speaking about us and not about us, about yourself and how you are in the market. So it really shows that the top talent is here and we can attract that top talent. That's one thing. Always being authentic on LinkedIn, for example, like as Tyler said, Shahel's posts are incredible. They're 100% authentic. You don't see that from a CEO every single day. And that's also a main aspect of employer branding, right? He's getting our name out there. That's not just directed to customers and sales. It's to everywhere. I've had so many candidates apply because they saw Shahel's post and were like, okay, this is super interesting. I definitely want to be part of this company. And they tell that to me on the phone. They're like, I asked them, have you heard of ground cover? Like, yeah, I saw Shahel's post last week. That was super interesting. And
Nice.
yeah.
What about so we got like the post, LinkedIn, the branding, anything from like the messaging you're using lately, whether it's like super personalized or there's certain points that you think you're going to get a good response rate on?
Yes. So all of my messages are personalized. It does take a lot more time to source, and I understand it, but all of my posts are personalized. You can sense this stage of bull when you're using AI messaging systems because it will, go through the LinkedIn post and create something super, super cold. And I mean, John, you've met me. I'm one of the bubbliest person I think ever. Like I'm very, so, and I want to relay that in my message. Say, hi, so excited about ground cover. I try to keep it short and to the point, not a list of, we're looking for a regional director. You will do this, you will do that. No, say, I have an amazing opportunity. Regional director, second on the team. You're going to have so much opportunity. Let me tell you more in the message. short and to the point. And I always finish the LinkedIn message with a question of saying, when are you free? Not, does this interest you? Because I don't want them to say yes or no. I want them to say, yeah, let's talk. Always leaving it with, when are you free? 5 minutes. That's all I need. So really put that sales hat on when you're sending these cold outreach messages. I saw this really interesting article. I think this came out about a month and a half ago, of a director of engineering that got fed up with so many messages on LinkedIn that he was getting, that he placed in one of his experiences a random like word that sounded like a buzzword, or it was like a random sentence. Did you see that, John?
No, I didn't.
So he put this random sentence of like, during my time when I'm writing code, I walk through the streets when it's raining, and kept on going, like made it super nonchalant, and wanted to see who was sending him AI LinkedIn messages and who wasn't. And since I saw it, I was like, okay, I can't fall in this trap ever in my life. That's going to be the most embarrassing thing in the world if I fall in this trap. And so that's why I really try to keep everything personalized. In the world of AI, we can't lose the human touch. That's us as recruiters. It's very important. We can't lose that human touch, because we are going to be the only position in the world in this growing AR market that's going to stay humanized. And that is our superpower.
I completely agree. And particularly, I think I always say, like, the harder the role, the more personalized you go, the busier the market, the more personalized you go. So there are all these little human elements, as you rightly put it, which help us differentiate. Look, guys, I'm probably going to start to wrap up. So if you've got any questions for Shaked, please post them in now. But Shaked, on your side, anything you think you wanted to speak about today or share that maybe I haven't asked or touched on?
Um, the only advice I really can give is that roll with it. If you have a bad day, tomorrow's going to be a different day. You're not in a role to where every single day looks the same. And you just need to understand that you have all this weight on your shoulders, but you can do it. You can definitely do it. And take each day at a time, to where if today was a bad day, don't worry about it. Tomorrow's going to be a better day. If that candidate withdrew, it's his loss. It's always their loss. It's not yours, because you will find a better person for the role, because you are great. And that is the confidence you need as a founding recruiter, because if not, then don't do it. It will
I like
take
it.
them out of you.
I'm going to pinch this recording, use the pep talk for my team. um, Absolutely love it. Well, look, I've really enjoyed speaking with you, quizzing you, learning about yourself and groundcover. I think, like, super exciting vendor. And guys, like, I'm sure Shaked is open to connecting on LinkedIn as well if you wanted to reach out to her. But otherwise, we'll wrap up. Great webinar. Thank you very much again. And yeah, see you as part of our community.
Yeah, let me know. I'm on the community, I'm on the chat. So please feel free to send over any questions. And also, if I have any questions for y'all.
Perfect. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.
Thanks.